Hey Chris, how you doing today?
Good. How are you?
Good, thanks. Let's chat QB1. We have a bunch going on this week in the NFL, and I wanted to kind of turn our focus this week to a guy who was supposed to be and touted as a franchise quarterback, but who knows what's happening? Trevor Lawrence. Sure, what is going on with him?
He's finally not having to play for Urban Meyer, so that's a positive thing. Um, but yeah, outside of that, he hasn't quite lived up to the expectations that many thought he would be or anything like that. He doesn't have a lot of talent around him, which doesn't help his case. But he's still passing. Looking at that eye test, he's still not passing it in regards to being this franchise-saving quarterback that so many scouts said he would be. I mean, coming out of college, everyone compared him to Andrew Luck and to Peyton Manning as this guy that he's a can't miss. He's going to turn a franchise around. He'll make everybody around him better. He can carry a team on his back, and that has not been the case. Granted, year one, he had to deal with a very inept head coach, but now he's got an NFL head coach who's won a Super Bowl, so the guy knows what he's doing in Doug Pederson, but they're still not doing well. They're still having a lot of struggles, and you could say this is his rookie season, so that's why Trevor Lawrence is having these struggles. But even with that, he still just doesn't look like maybe he's going to be as great as people were expecting.
Yeah, fair enough. It sounds like you have a lot of this to kind of attribute to Urban Meyer, and it sounds like you think he messed him up pretty bad in his rookie year.
Yeah, I don't think anybody else would, say that Urban Meyer did Trevor Lawrence any favors at all. Lawrence's rookie season wasn't great. It wasn't necessarily the worst rookie quarterback season in the NFL, but it certainly wasn't anything to write home about. And that franchise really suffered for having Urban Meyer in their employment as long as they did. But like I said, they've got Doug Pederson now, who is a Super Bowl winning coach, and it seems like he's kind of got them pointed on a more positive direction.
Awesome. And at this point, at this very moment in Trevor Lawrence's career, do you think it's fair to question if he's going to be the guy that everyone thought he was going to be? Do you still think he can live up to that Andrew Luck comparison, or do you think we're not gonna see what we thought we were gonna see?
Right now, I think he is probably a step below Andrew Luck, and I don't know if he'll ever get to that level of being able to make the guys around him better or anything like that. I think he's a guy that is going to be a really good quarterback. A lot of teams would love to have him on their team. He'd be a top 10 quarterback in the league. But in terms of being able to take guys who are, B-level players or anything like that and turn them into Pro Bowlers, I don't think that's something Lawrence is going to do. I think Lawrence is a player that needs to have some, stud talent around him in order to really thrive and get to those, those expectations that were placed on him coming out of college. I don't think he's necessarily a guy with his skill set that is going to be able to make everybody else around him better and be a franchise-saving quarterback like he was expected.
Fair enough. While he may not be a franchise-saving quarterback, do you think he's the best quarterback in the AFC South?
From an athletic standpoint, without question. I mean, there's nobody that from an athletic and measurable standpoint that is going to be comparing to him. From an overall QB wise, in regards to being able to play the position and read defense and stuff like that, I think it's a little bit to be determined at this point. Tannehill isn't necessarily a great quarterback, but he's running that offense in Tennessee well, and a case could be made that he's doing a better job of being the best quarterback in the AFC South than Trevor Lawrence is. But I think there's still a lot more talent and upside in Trevor Lawrence than there is in Tannehill.
Fair enough. So what do you think his game needs? What do you think it needs to get to Lawrence to the next level? What do you think he's missing and that he can have to bring him to a greater conversation?
Yeah, I think one is he definitely needs a stud playmaker on the outside, preferably his own version of Jamar Chase at the wide receiver position. Christian Kirk is a really nice receiver. I liked him coming out of college. I thought he'd be really good, but as we've seen in the NFL, he's more of a slot receiver. And while that is a position of need in today's passing NFL offense, it's not one that, teams should rely on to have as their number one number one receiver. So I think Lawrence definitely needs to have his own stud alpha number one wide receiver. I think that would help him out a lot. He had those kind of guys in college, and you saw the stats he put up in college. So I think he needs that. I think the other thing that is probably the most crucial for Lawrence is to make better decisions in critical situations, in the red zone and in fourth quarters. Those are some key areas that he's really struggled at this season still. That kind of point to the reason why I think, he may not be as good as everyone expected. His teams haven't really scored a whole lot of touchdowns when they're in the red zone. They've turned it over a little bit more frequently than, teams would like. But if he can fix that, make smart decisions in the red zone, making sure his team comes away with touchdowns and not turnovers, and if he can, produce some more game-winning drives in the fourth quarter, I think that would also be beneficial for him.